I interviewed, I think, hundreds of IT project managers, and only about 1% of them answered the "tell me about yourself" question correctly. So in this video I'll reveal the correct answer. I'll share a proven strategy to prepare the best possible answer, and I'll show you how I answer this question in a real interview. But before we get into it, we must understand why recruiters and interviewers ask this question in every freaking interview. The big idea behind this question is to make the first impression. Test your ability to communicate clearly and, most importantly, to find relevant experiences that they can explore more deeply. You will confuse interviewer if you don't provide a structured answer with the required information. And as a result, the interviewer will start asking random questions to find relatable experiences. Obviously, you don't want that. Why? Well, you may get a lot of questions that you haven't prepared for. You may or may not answer them well on the spot. Instead, you must drive the interview in the direction where you can highlight your best qualities and experience. And you do it with a prepared and structured answer. So now you should be thinking about what the correct answer to the "tell me about yourself" question looks like. And frankly speaking, without a structured answer, you severely impede your chances of passing an interview. That's why here are the general principles of the perfect answer. First, you should talk only about project management experiences. Second, you must make your experience relatable to another project manager. And your answer should have only 3 segments. You may ask, why 3 segments? All the good stories have 3 main acts, so human beings are wired to this structure through hundreds of years of evolution. But depending on your level of experience, you will have different 3 segments. If you are an aspiring project manager, you'll put it like this. The first segment describes how you discovered your talents and desire to become a project manager. Second segment will talk about your experience of leading people without authority. And the third segment will describe a small initiative that you handled like a project manager. By the way, if you are an aspiring project manager, I have an in-depth guide on how to become an IT project manager. Please watch it after you finish this video. Alright, now if you are a junior or mid-level project manager, you will have the following segments. The first one is all about how you became a project manager. And the last one is all about the most recent experience. And in the middle you will have all the rest, but I'll explain what you must put in these segments in a second. Now, if you are a senior project manager, you might have already guessed the structure. The first segment is how you became a senior project manager. The last one is all about the most recent experience. And in the middle, all the rest. Please notice how we adjust the story based on the level of experience. And that's critical. No one wants to hear about your school or college. And in most cases, no one cares about your unrelated experience or experience that you had 10 years ago. Now you have a proven structure based on how the human brain consumes the information the best, but it's worth nothing if you fill it in with irrelevant information. And the fact is, if you don't provide relevant and relatable information, you will confuse the interviewer. And believe me, interviewers will not spend their energy and time to decipher your answer. They need undeniable proof that you are the most suitable candidate for this role. But before I explain what the interviewer wants to hear, please click the like button. That will indicate that you find these tips useful. Thank you in advance. So, if you are a project manager, your main interviewer is a project manager as well. So how can this interviewer assess your knowledge and skills? Well, obviously it's not the theory of project management. Think about it. The interviewer is a senior IT project manager. She manages 3 Scrum teams, 8 to 10 people each, across 2 clients. She's been leading this product development for more than a year already. Now, if you tell her in my recent job I led 2 Scrum teams for 1 client for about 9 months, and we successfully developed and released a brand new application. Obviously, the interviewer can easily relate to that experience. They know the main challenges, they can compare it to their current experience, and you will have a very constructive discussion. Nevertheless, it's critical to correctly put it all together into one story. If you don't make it flow naturally, they may not find a compelling reason to dive deeper into one of your stories. And here's the most critical thing about your answer. Ideally, each segment should have only one main focus point. You heard it right. Some segments may cover 2 or 5 years of your experience, but you must select only one key talent or experience that you want to highlight. And that's because if you talk about everything at once, the interviewer will most likely remember nothing. They will get confused, and again, a confused interviewer leads to random questions. For example, this is how it may look like for a mid-level project manager. The first segment is a story about leadership without authority. For example, you finished some initiative as an unofficial project manager or leader, or you acted as an assistant project manager, and as a result you got promoted, or you found a new job as a project manager. The second segment is all about finishing a project successfully or leading multiple projects in parallel. Essentially, you must speak about your project management skills here. And in the third segment, you must choose a different focus point from the most recent project, but you must ramp up your experience and showcase something special. It would make you stand out from the crowd of other candidates. That's why you must think about managing difficult stakeholders, rescuing a project, and building business relationships with customers. So now, let me show you an example of how I answer the "Tell me about yourself" question as a mid-level project manager. But please pay close attention to how I structure the stories, and in most cases they follow the STAR technique structure. Likewise, notice how I transition from one story to another, and pay close attention how I finished my answer. I've started my career as a technical support engineer. I helped our customers to resolve their issues with our products. The best thing about the job, it taught me how to communicate with customers because I wrote thousands of emails. Nevertheless, I soon realized that I could have a bigger impact on the organization. I worked closely with project managers and decided to become one. That's why soon I noticed an opportunity to improve a process in my line of work, and I tried to apply the basic project management principles that I learned. So I got support from my manager, then I analyzed the process and collected some data. After that, I got buy-in from my peers to help me. In the long run, we created a template answers database that we could send as is without any approvals. And it resulted in 95% cost reduction for about 80% of all incoming requests. And this effort didn't go unnoticed. Soon I was promoted to a junior project manager. I got a team of 4 engineers and a small project to lead. Frankly speaking, it was a tough period. I had to learn a lot about project management, communication, leadership, all while leading a team. Nevertheless, we finished the project on time and within budget, and as a result, these clients decided to move all their development to our company. In 2 years, I've been leading 5 to 7 projects for 2 clients in parallel with a total of 28 people. And we created several applications from scratch and successfully released them to the Apple Store. But last year we had to bring an additional project manager to delegate a part of projects from this account. Unfortunately, it got into serious troubles as customers were unhappy with the performance of the new team. As a result, I had to jump in and make amends. It was a very instructive experience where I had to manage a major project management crisis. So first I did a root cause analysis and collected the data that proved that the delays were caused by our mutual decisions, but obviously they were not clearly communicated by the manager. Second, I developed and presented an alternative plan that would deliver 80% of all must-have features and allow for production release in the nearest future. As a result, I was able to convince clients to continue working with us. Moreover, we collected so many lessons learned and improved overall performance, so it was a success story in the end. Having all these experiences and knowledge, I'm looking for new challenges in the role of a senior project manager. Moreover, I would like to extend my knowledge into the web development domain. And of course, if you are interested in any of the stories we talked about, let's dive in. I'll be happy to describe how I handled those situations in more detail. Now, here's a problem you might not see from your side, because no matter what approach you use to answer the "tell me about yourself" questions, you must understand the big picture of project management and you must use correct project management terminology. Obviously, if you talk to a project manager without using their language, they won't take you seriously. It would take too much effort to adapt you to their project management environment. That's why you must watch this video next. It will explain all aspects of project management you must know for an interview. You refresh your terminology and, most importantly, you will learn how it all works as a system. Click the video now and I'll talk to you there.